Warning, the following film deals with mature subject matter poorly. If you're sensitive to certain subjects, such as drug trafficking, murder, and terrorism, you might want to proceed with caution. Also, this video contains a little bit of stronger language than my other stuff. Also, while I do talk about and mention real people in this video, I highly advise you that you don't go and harass anybody who worked on this film. Regardless of how much you might agree with my review here, they're still people at the end of the day, and they make mistakes. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello, my good people, and today I'm going to be doing my first ever full-on review on this channel. Today I'm going to be looking at, reviewing, and discussing Emilia Perez. And it sucks. Okay, bye! I'm just kidding. Before I give my full thoughts, let me explain why I'm reviewing this and what got me to end up watching this film. You see, Emilia Perez has been getting a lot of backlash following its 13 Oscar nominations. That's right! This movie has more Oscar nominations than something like Inception, Jurassic Park, The Shawshank Redemption, that kinda rhymed, and other well-liked films, despite the fact that almost everybody outside of the Academy, I guess, claims that Emilia Perez is nothing but garbage. It's arguably the most hated film to get nominated for Best Picture. I don't think I've seen this much backlash before. Granted, there has been some controversial nominations and wins, but I don't think I've seen anything quite like this before. All this helped bring the movie into the public eye, and according to some people, has officially caused the Oscars to lose what little credibility they had left. Me personally, I've never really been a big Oscar guy. I look up the nominations and who wins just about every year, but I don't care enough to actually sit down and watch the award ceremony, since it's mostly just rich, snotty executives patting themselves on the back. Not to mention, they're kind of out of touch. Well, I'm out of time. If I had to name the worst ceremony in recent years, it would be the 2022 Academy Awards, since, you know, Amy Schumer hosted. Dear Hollywood, do us a favor and stop casting Amy Schumer. Seriously, keep this unfunny, talentless joke thief outside of cinema. The only job she deserves to have is one working at McDonald's for the rest of her life. Anyways, with all this talk about the film, my curiosity piqued, especially since I was wondering how such a hated film could be somewhat of a critical darling. Of course, you shouldn't judge a film before you see it, and prior to the backlash, I don't think I've ever heard of Emilia Perez. At most, maybe I saw it when I was scrolling through Netflix briefly. Anyways, recently I sat down with an open mind. Maybe people are overreacting, I thought. Who knows? Maybe it's misunderstood. Not to mention, I do often like foreign films.
2 hours later.
After finishing the movie, I can confidently say that this is one of the dumbest, awfully written, tone-deaf, intelligent insulting, academy-pandering, sloppily made, zero-effort researched, moronically offensive, idiotically ignorant, boring, messily constructed excuses for entertainment that has ever assaulted my time! Emilia Perez is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. It's in the top 10 or 20 for sure. It's also proof positive that the Academy doesn't care about quality, because trust me, I know the reason why it was nominated for so much. And spoiler, it's not because of its writing, but I'll get to that later. Buckle in, ladies and gentlemen. It's gonna be a bumpy ride on explaining this dumpster fire to the masses. Though I guess I shouldn't be overly negative. I'll list some positives. Okay, I'll give credit to Zoe Saldana. While the script she's been given is bad, she's definitely trying her best, and some of her acting is actually decent. The character isn't well written, but Zoe Saldana is trying. Some of the other actors are decent, I guess. Another thing I like about this movie is that I like the color purple. That's all I got. Time to shit on this film. When writing a script set in a different country, you'd think the writers would do some research, right? Well, you'd be wrong, apparently. As the director, how do I say that name? Jacques Arda? I don't know. Claims he didn't need to do any research before setting an entire film in Mexico, hire any Mexican actors, or even film in the damn place. You have a decent budget, why not film there? Instead, it's filmed in Paris, huh? Also, the fact that they didn't hire any Mexicans might be why some of the accents sound really off in this film. The transgender community has also criticized this film a lot. I'm not super knowledgeable about that community, sorry. But after reading some articles and such, I can understand why they were so critical of this film. Look, I'm not Mexican nor am I trans, and I'm not a fan of the mindset of being offended on behalf of somebody else. But after not only hearing the backlash from people in those communities, who you're supposed to be representing by the way, but actually reading about how it not only poorly handles situations such as drug trafficking, which is a serious issue in Mexico by the way, but attempts to make one sympathetic despite all the deaths and problems they cause. It doesn't even attempt to hire any talent from Mexico. I can see why it's even more hated there. Heck, there's a Mexican-made parody of this film called Joanne Jacques Bleu, which I assume is better than the actual movie it's parodying. Not to mention, a lot of French people actually admit they thought the short film was funny, especially since it's just a jab at the movie and nothing more. Little note, unfortunately my computer had issues with me downloading clips, so I had to resort to the old filming off the computer. I'm definitely gonna watch this short film later. Anyways, not doing any research on a sensitive subject? This is like next level moronic. What I'm trying to say is, if the people you're representing have an issue with this movie, you know you did something wrong. So the story, in a nutshell, is basically that a lawyer who is unhappy with her life due to the lack of money she makes, and apparently the reason why is because of her skin color and her fat ass. Even though she says she's tired of helping awful people, she's given a deal from a violent drug cartel to help escape the law in exchange for money. Keep in mind, earlier she was crying about helping an obviously awful murderer, but now she agrees to help another one, even though she wasn't forced to. Like, he gave her a chance to back out, but she still just wants to be rich. And then afterwards she complains about how she has to do bad stuff for money, as well as the fact that she can't get a proper job that pays well. So anyways, they fly down to America and get the sex change operation, where we get that infamous song. Trust me, we'll talk about that later. So he transitions to a woman, and then fakes his death to make people think that he died, including his own family. Yeah, he traumatized his own wife and kids, and then goes to Paris, France to start a new life, and leave his past of crime behind him. However, by coincidence, 4 years later, Emilia Perez, which she is now calling herself, meets up with the lawyer Rita, and tells her that she wants to see her kids and wife again. Yeah, apparently only now she misses them. So they fly over to Mexico, where Emilia Perez starts Mrs. Doubtfiring the kids and the wife by pretending to be their long-lost aunt so she can see them again. Later in the movie, Perez starts some sort of organization where she helps people find the bodies of their deceased loved ones who died from the drug cartels. In other words, people that she helped kill, so they can properly bury their beloved ones. Even though, you know, you're the one who killed a lot of them, you friggin' bitch! So they're put on a pedestal for not only this, but helping the poor people of Mexico by donating money to them, as well as helping with education around there. And there's these awful musical numbers and scenes that try to treat her like she's an amazing person and a saint. Meanwhile, the wife, who used to be married to Perez, known as Jessie, aka the one played by Selena Gomez, realizes that she doesn't like living with this weird aunt and her life is kind of cooped up. So she meets up with this guy that she used to cheat on her husband with. Since she thinks her husband is dead, she can just continue her life with this guy. I forgot to mention that this is the point in the movie where there's some criminals helping fund this. And then the lawyer, I just give up calling them their names, this movie doesn't deserve the proper thought, where she sings about how she's going to, like, get them all behind bars and arrest them, but then, no, she doesn't. This is the fact that criminals were funding it just is never brought up again in the rest of the movie, and so it's like they have this big friggin' musical number all for nothing. I'm sorry, this movie's hurting me. It's rotting my brain. It's just killing my brain cells. I feel dumber after watching it. What does my life become? Let's just get this over with. And just when you think this movie can't get any worse, Emilia Perez falls for a woman who is grateful that her abusive husband died due to the drug cartels, and they start seeing each other. See, audience? She was doing good as a criminal after all. She's not so bad. Also, this woman that she fell for is never brought up again or is seen again after this little scene, so it's pointless, I guess. But then Perez finds out that her ex-wife is seeing the guy that she used to cheat on her with. and wants to start a new life with him, and this makes Perez very angry, and then Perez starts to beat the shit out of Gomez. Hey, that kinda rhymed. And then her voice slips, and she somehow doesn't recognize that that's her ex-husband. Still. Then Perez sends her goons to go beat up the guy that Gomez is trying to marry, but not kill him. But she doesn't kill them because she's a good person, apparently. Then Gomez tries to take off with the kids afterwards, after Perez returns. And then this causes Perez to go into depression because she's losing her kids. And I swear this all happens under 30 seconds. This somehow makes this 2-hour movie feel rushed. And then some BS goes down with the gang holding Perez hostage, and the lawyer friend goes to save her. With the help of some armed mercenaries, and then a shootout occurs. Perez is seemingly knocked out, but then the smoke revives her for some reason. And then Perez finally confesses to Gomez, that rhymed again, that she used to be the husband, and then they kind of fall in love again, and then they try to drive away. Though the boyfriend puts Perez in the back of the truck because, drug dealer, criminal, hello. And then Gomez pulls out the gun on him, saying, "No, that's my husband in there." And this causes him to freak out and then accidentally drive off a cliff where they, fall, and it's, weirdly comical, how it's shot. Where there's just silence and the characters screaming as they fall. And then the car blows up after just sitting there for a few seconds, almost like it's comically timed. And then the lawyer screams in anguish that they all died, and then she adopts the kids, who are parentless now, and then the people of Mexico throw a parade to Perez in memory of her, not knowing that she was responsible for the death of their loved ones in the first place. And then we see, Perez's spirit looking over Mexico, and then the movie ends there. Do I have to say it? The plotline fails at making this engaging at all, since the film is pretentious about things it doesn't even know much about. The plotline is full of storylines that are either forgotten or don't go anywhere, not to mention how it seems to just throw shit at the wall and see what sticks. It's awfully paced that somehow makes this 2-hour movie feel rushed at times, yet somehow feels really slow-paced too. Ugh. Although editing isn't always a thing brought up when discussing what you like about a movie or what you don't like, it is a very important part of the film overall, considering it's the lens in which we see the story, and bad editing can really ruin a film. Not only does this film use the cliche brown lens for the muddy, dirty look, or it's there's this weird shaky, jittery cam, even during scenes where the characters are just standing still, and there's this weird, ugly gray tint on some scenes. Not to mention all the weird, pretentious editing, which is designed to look artsy but just feels forced. With some of the exceptions of the dance scenes, I suppose, the cinematography just looks straight up unprofessional. And that's part 1 of my review. Join me next time when I talk about the horrible characters, how the songs all suck, and how this movie bluntly panders to the Academy. I did try to get this review out sooner before the Academy Awards ceremony, but then some stuff happened, I'm sorry. I'll see you next time.